Welcome to episode 5 of the Slightly Fuzz podcast. Today we have Andy Blackburn from This Summit Fever, and we're going to be premiering a music video for their single Reborn from their new EP Doubt, out next week. And shout out to Bloodshot Buffalo. Their single Freedom Through Levitation is on the Slightly Fuzz playlist on Spotify, and they have lots of other great tunes out there. Go check them out. All right, Andy Blackburn from This Summit Fever. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. No, I appreciate it, Ryan.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this one. We're doing something a little different on this podcast. We're going to play your music video at the end.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to to have you show it first. So yeah, it's going to be with you first, exclusive. So yeah, appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very cool. And you also let me listen to the new EP a little bit, and I love it. I'm excited to talk about it, and I'm excited to have you on here.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to talking about it a little bit. So yeah.
You guys are a two-piece, which I find really interesting. I'm always intrigued about how you guys manage such a big sound with two people, and you guys must be very talented. And talking to you a little bit beforehand, it sounds like you guys both went to college for music. Did that have some sort of influence on how talented you are and how this album came out and the sound of all that?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I did terribly at school. I was not academic at all. I didn't like school, and I didn't like the format of learning. Music was the only thing I enjoyed doing. So I managed to get into a course. So this was like age 16. Basically, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the people as well. It was definitely my kind of people, and I'm still friends with a lot of the people that I met there. I mean, that was 22 years ago now. So yeah.
Did you have, when you went into it, did you have any idea that you would use it for a rock band, or was that not the plan at all? That just came later?
Yeah, I mean, I've been messing around with bands before that, and then I kind of started to take it a little bit more seriously then. And then, yeah, after college, I carried on doing the bands, just working jobs and trying to do something. And then I kind of realized that it wasn't happening, not in the way that that I wanted it to. So I kind of got it more into like studio production and live sound. So yeah, I've got an understanding of that side of it, and that's coming really useful. Kind of stepped away from music for a little while, well, making it anyway. I mean, I'm always listening to music, but I kind of stepped away from creating for a few years, and then I just kind of realized that there was a really big thing missing in my life again, music. Kind of like I picked up my guitar and just started writing riffs again. I was like, actually, it's still there. The hunger's still there, and I kind of felt like I had something to lyrically to write about again. I then just started recording some ideas at home during the lockdown. We had a couple of lockdowns here in the UK. And yeah, I was just doing everything myself, with no kind of aspirations to do anything with it. And then I showed it to a couple of friends, and they were like, "Oh, you should stick it out." And so I did. And to my surprise, like other people were into it. So yeah.
Did you have other bands before this, or is this kind of your first recorded out in the world kind of music?
Yes, my first proper release. Yeah. I mean, I've done demos in bands. I've been in lots of bands, and for all different styles. Like, I'm into lots of different types of music, but heavy riffs, and this sound is kind of where my heart is, really, I suppose.
Where does that sound come from? Because it's got a real hard rock feel to it, but I can't really put my finger on, a comparative band. What are some of the influences on this particular band that you have?
Well, yeah, I mean, like bands like Mastodon, The Sword. Um, uh, there's a British band called Raging Speedhorn.
Mhm.
They're really great. So they've always been quite a big influence on me on the guitar playing. Uh, uh, Down, I really like the band Down. I've had a bit of a mind blank. Sorry, man.
Yeah,
There's some amazing bands out there, especially in the scene as well. I kind of rediscovered um, this this scene, this stoner kind of doomy kind of scene, and
yeah,
like it's there's so many great bands, and what I love about it is that there's no sort of pretense, that no one's kind of it just seems really genuine to me, and that really appeals
yeah.
to me.
I think that's come up in almost every episode so far. Just kind of this whole scene and how everyone is here to uplift each other and support each other. And there's kind of no rules, whether it's the music or the artwork or anything else that we've talked about. And that's one of the cooler things about this scene. And your music in particular is really unique. I mean, it doesn't sound like any one of those bands that you named off, but I can hear how maybe that was an influence.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to sort of be you know the next one of those bands. Like there's just elements I just really like them, and I really listen to them a
Yeah.
lot. And bands like Black Sabbath, of course, Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. So
Hmm.
real but that's the great thing about this kind of sound is that it's timeless. I think like when you look
Yeah.
back at like Sabbath, and like when people must have heard that for the first time, like that must have just been mind blowing for people. Can you
Yeah.
imagine like no one's done anything like that before,
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, like it must have been like so uh like amazing to hear something so like heavy and so powerful, for the first time.
Right. Yeah.
um
Completely different from anything else that had been out previously. And that doesn't come along too often. Hip hop
yeah,
maybe would be the next one and maybe the last one.
yeah, but I think the thing is there's certain styles that don't change much. And what I mean by that is that um, on the surface, they seem like they haven't changed a lot in terms of production and things like that. There's generally in this style, there's generally drums, bass, guitar, and a vocal.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's a variation of those, of course, but um, what I love about it is that yes, you've got that format, but people just take it in all these wild places. And yeah, I find it very inspiring. And again, like, to go back to your point of people lifting each other up, like I definitely have had that experience. Like the people that I chat to on, I mainly use Instagram. That's kind of been my main kind of place for promoting the music, and that the people that I've been in contact with, like literally all over the world, people from the States, people in Europe, literally all over the place, and there's everyone's super nice. It's
Yeah.
crazy, like the music can sort of connect people in that way, even when you don't necessarily speak the same language.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many bands that I've interacted with where I realized soon after that they don't speak English, and I'm like, man, I love this band. I wish I could have them on the podcast, but I don't know that would work. And it's almost, it's weird how many bands are from other countries out of the U.S. It's like a majority of the bands that I listen to now at this point are not in the U.S. at all.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. Like this style is very big in Europe. You know,
Yeah.
Germany is a massive scene, in Greece as well.
Greece. I was just gonna say Greece
Yeah.
is killing it, man. They got some good
Yeah,
stuff
man.
from there.
There's some great bands coming out of Greece,
Yeah.
and they love it. You know, like it's big over there. Um, and France as well, and Norway, Sweden, Finland. You know, like
Yep.
literally, like
Yeah. Yeah.
this
I've
style
talked
of
to a
music.
handful of bands from all three of those countries that I'm huge fans of their music, and I've talked to them about, promoting their stuff and being on the podcast and everything. Those three countries for sure, and Greece. There's so much good stuff out of those other countries.
For sure, man, and obviously the States as well. You know, there's some absolutely amazing bands that come out of the States, but um, yeah, I think as well. Like it's like people like yourself. You know, you kind of like have a will to kind of do something, and I think that's the other thing I like about the scene is that it's not necessarily supported um, in the sort of mainstream, let's say, but there's
Hmm.
loads of people kind of motivated and doing it themselves. You know, they've got the means to be able to do it themselves now, and I
Yeah.
really like that. You know, I've met a lot of like-minded people. I'm
It's a lot of unsigned bands. It's a lot of like grassroots.
hmm,
It's a lot of small labels. And I think the best thing about it is it's always changing. That one of the things that I got kind of bored with over the years of like heavy metal and just
hmm,
metal in general was that it just all kind of started to sound the same to me. And whereas
for
with this
sure,
this,
yeah,
this type of music, it's always different. There's stuff that's like super melodic or even beautiful and slow, and there's stuff that's just super fast and heavy and almost like a punk vibe, and there's everything in between, and there's
hmm,
doom and sludge, and there's desert stuff, and it's just like everyone is just super experimental, and there's kind of no rules. And like I
yeah.
said, I just
It's
kind of got
fast.
the vibe over the years with metal that it just was all kind of sounding the same. They all had kind of the same look.
Yeah,
Their albums looked the same. The music sound the same. I just kind of got bored with it.
same man. Yeah, that's kind of why I kind of stopped doing it for a little while. It's just that I wasn't inspired. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of the internet hadn't really kind of become the main kind of source of finding music. You know, at that point,
Yeah.
but I think now, like it's these kind of little niche genres. You know, they can exist now because like where me and Jim are based, there's no one really doing this type of music. But like we can exist and we can still release music, and people hopefully will want to listen to it. That
Do you play
you know,
shows?
actually, we're going to do our first one in November. Um, and you asked me a question about being a two piece actually, and I didn't
Hmm.
I didn't actually answer that, and I'm sorry about
That's
that.
all right.
Yeah, we are a two piece. So like basically, I I come up with the songs, and I can drum very very basically. But Jim is a fantastic drummer, so you know he's kind of like taken the songs to the next level. So um, as we sort of are a two piece, but the band could be. We might stay as a two. We might be a three. Might even be a four. Have two guitars and a bass as well. Um, but we might stay as a two. It's possible. It's just about finding the right person. And again, it's just finding someone that with the passion and the will to want to do music. Not everybody wants to do the style, for example, as I say.
Right. Yeah. As a two piece, it seems like maybe you're more interested in the recording part and definitely having your background in production and things like that. And I had this conversation with the Age of Truth on episode 2, where I always felt like the recording would be the fun part. A lot of bands like the live aspect and being a live band, whereas I always thought it was so interesting to go in the studio and just kind of like tinker with stuff and make
Yeah,
different
man.
sounds and see how it all fits together and make this like really cool album and see what it sounds like. But as a two piece, if you're not able to perform or if you need more people to really perform live, like is that pretty accurate that you like recording and you like the process of recording new music?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I've started this project band. during the lockdown. So like there was no gigs. I know that things have kind of carried on in the US, but I mean, everything's been shut here. Venues have just started opening, literally like a couple of weeks ago. It's been really hard in the UK for all the venues and the staff that work there and things, and the bands that rely on playing is their living. But so we haven't really had the opportunity to rehearse. We have done recording together. We've been able to do that, but going to the rehearsal studio, and then thinking about a gig and stuff like that, it was like, well, we might as well just kind of put it to the end of the year, which is kind of what we've done. We've just concentrated on doing the recording. And again, it was kind of seeing how the recording sounded first, and we're happy with it. We're like, well, let's see what happens. So
I'm not like an audiophile or anything like that, and sound is kind of secondary to what I listen to, but it sounds so clean and crisp and well produced to me. It sounds like an album that like it would be like your fourth or fifth album.
Wow,
a lot of bands that come out with their first EP, their first few singles, like it's recorded in their basement, and you can kind of tell. And it sounds great, by the way.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we worked hard on it. I got it mastered by we got it mastered by a guy called Russ Russell, and he's done a lot of really really big metal productions over the years. He did At the Gates. That's one of the big bands that he's done. But he's done loads and loads and loads of stuff. But he did the mastering for us, and that I think mastering it's really important to get that right. It's not just about making it loud. It's making it sound overall really clear. And he did the mixes justice. He did a really great job, I think.
I think so. I don't know anything about that whole process, but I thought it sounded great.
Thanks, man. Thanks for listening to it as well, man. Like, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, I love the new EP, and I listened to that a few times through when you sent me that link, and I've listened to your older stuff the last few days as well, and I love the sound. It's got a lot of different avenues to explore. There's really heavy parts, and there's really kind of melodic and beautiful places to go, and other ones, and I think it's all really interesting.
Thanks, man. I mean, again, like as I said before, I don't listen to one style all the time. I listen to loads of different stuff, like acoustic stuff, electronic stuff. But as I say, the thing I generally come back to is is the stuff with the riffs. There's just something about seeing a heavy band, like especially live, like it's just it just moves your soul, like I really like that, so
yeah. All right, so I wanted to ask you about the name, This Summit Fever. I'm not a climber, but I saw that there's some definition of summit fever where, like, if you're climbing a mountain, you reach almost the top and you get to a point where there's like no turning back. You'll do anything to get to the top. You have to. And in mountain climbing, there seems to be like a point on the mountain where a lot of people die trying because they have quote unquote summit fever. They'll do anything. They have to reach the top, and they don't make it. Is that how you named your band, or is that like a part of the philosophy? We'll do anything to get our music out there to reach the top, or where did that come from?
Well, not exactly, but yeah, I mean, you were on the right lines there.
Yeah.
I kind of I really like adventure. I really like reading about people that have done like pretty amazing things, like climbing huge mountains. Everest, I suppose, it's like it is the highest mountain in the world. I know it's not the hardest one to climb, but it is the highest. As you say, a lot of people have died getting or trying to get to the top. And I read a book called Into Thin Air, and have you seen the movie Everest before?
No.
Came out a few years ago. It's good anyway. But this book was kind of like used as part of the plot for the film. And anyway, it was it's sort of the it talks about like summit fever, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of researched it. I was like, that's it's kind of got a double meaning, it's kind of, and it kind
Yeah.
of worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting to the top of any any industry mountains, to be honest with you.
It's a good mindset to have,
but,
though. I mean,
but we
maybe
never know.
not, when you're climbing a mountain, but I suppose for a rock band, it's a good mindset.
Well, you never know. You never know.
Yep. So, how about the artwork? That's kind of been a common theme on this podcast. I'm always interested in the artwork as a designer and an artist myself. I love the artwork for this. Who did that, and who came up with the concept? How did that come about?
Yeah. So basically, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I I I was following this account called Man the River, and I was like, oh, kind of scrolled through. Oh, that's great, man. Like, and I really loved the black and white vibe to it. And I contacted the person behind this account, called Vic, and I asked her if she did artwork for bands, and she said she does. And I was like, checked out some of her other work, and I bought one of her paintings, and I was like, I'd really love you to do ours, like, and you know, she was so good to work with. Like, I kind of explained roughly, the rough concept of it, and yeah, and she knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. She painted it. It's all done by hand.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
So,
I love the dedication to hand paint or hand create an album cover. And
yeah.
as a designer, I don't do that anymore. I used to, but I do a lot of the stuff just digitally. But to take the time and hand draw, hand paint, hand color, that kind of stuff is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I have a vague understanding of design, not obviously anywhere near your level, but like it's not to take anything away from digital design, because digital design is really hard as well. I mean, again, I think it comes down to the thing of like the idea is usually the hardest part. I think same with music, um, you know, but how people choose to kind of execute that idea is kind of it's I think with painting it just takes longer, really. And there's perhaps more imperfections and things like that, whereas digital, you can kind of get it perfect if you want, like
Yeah.
you're working with shapes and vectors and things like that, so it's again, you've got to understand the software and understand your it's your easel, isn't it? Your set of paintbrushes. It's I was watching the one you released today with Shane, not Shane,
Yeah.
Shane.
McConnell.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and I really liked his kind of philosophy on when he does his graphic design, he only uses like certain colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He sticks to a color palette, and he doesn't stray from it very often.
Yeah, I found that interesting. Like, again, it kind of um, I suppose it gives him that kind of look. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but you also make stuff, right? So
I do. I'm a jack of all trades, as they say, master of none. Unfortunately,
me too.
but yeah, I have been drawing and painting and doing art my entire life. I got into design after college. Been a graphic designer for years. Now I'm doing woodworking, and now I'm doing all this. Yeah, I do a little bit of stuff.
Yeah, I saw your woodwork stuff.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, cool.
And yeah, it's great, man. It's great.
Oh,
And
thanks.
again, I take my hat off to anyone that can, to make something out of nothing, with
Yeah.
your hands. I find that pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm not that good with DIY. I'm okay. Like I can do the basics. But like people that can like you know make door frames and make cupboards and like what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
Uh, it's awesome, man.
That really started
Mm,
out of just like I've been a designer for like corporate companies for so long. It wasn't a graphic design where I'm like making album art. I've done some album covers, but it wasn't very free. It was very strict, lots of rules. And if a board says they don't like it, you got to change it. There's no creative license. There's no like, I'm the designer, listen to me. It's just
right.
whatever they want goes. And it kills you after a while as like an artistic person. It kills you. So I started doing the woodworking because there was no reason to do woodworking. It was just me
Mm,
going out into the garage and like making whatever I wanted. And if people bought it, fine.
mm,
But if they didn't, it didn't matter. It was just a way to like get some sort of creative freedom outside of work, and people,
yeah,
and
man.
to my surprise, and which is great, people did buy it and people are interested in some of that. It worked out very well, but man, it was more of like just an exercise of freedom than anything.
Yeah, and you know what? I think you've hit a really really good point there as well. Is that I think you doing it because you wanted to do it, and I think the best art and the best uh, the best creative outlet is that reason. I think it's just doing it because you want to do it, and
Yeah.
not doing it because you're trying to get paid. Or I mean, obviously, getting paid is important, but
Yeah.
I think like I had no like hopes or any idea of where I might go with my music this band. Like, oh, in the past, I was like, I want to get signed and tour and all that stuff, but I didn't care with this one. I was just like, I just want to make music, and if no one hears it, then it doesn't really matter to me. Like, but if people hear it and they like it, then that's also cool. So
Yeah, that it really ties it back to that same point, is that like what's cool about this particular scene is that there's a lot of small bands that aren't making a lot of money, and every piece of money, every single profit that they do make goes right back in to the band, whether it's
yeah,
getting a van to tour with, or if it's getting recording time or studio time. It all goes back into the band, and it's just like the more you support them, the more they can do with it. And it's not about vacation homes. It's about putting more money back into the band. And that's what's cool about like a smaller scene or an underground
yeah.
scene. I'm sure they don't think it's that cool. I'm sure they would love to have a little bit more profit coming in, but it keeps it real. It keeps it about art and music more than profit, I suppose.
Yeah, and I agree with that point 100%. Money is important, like
Yeah.
everybody needs money to get by. And I think when your art kind of for people that do reach that point of like yourself doing it professionally, or a band, getting to that point where, like they can start to tour and get paid and stuff like that, that is is really nice that that you can get to that point. But I think
Mhm.
in some ways, like for yourself, it can be stifling in a way because you kind of then there's an expectation, I suppose. And I think,
Mhm.
like you said with the woodwork, the only expectation was that you would go to the garage, pick up some tools, and make something. Like, or you might not make anything. You might just kind of knock a bit of wood around and then go back
Yep.
in and have some lunch or whatever, and
Yep. If
and
it
that's all
sucks,
it.
it gets turned into firewood. So it gets
Yeah,
used either way.
but that's the thing, it's because there was no. It's kind of, I suppose it's kind of doing stuff. It's kind of more pure. I think it's kind
Yeah.
of there's no um, a lot of uh, what people do in life is based around you know moving up the ladder, or like getting to the next, like making a bit more money. Let's make some money. Let's do this. Let's do that. But
Yeah.
and again, I am not to say that money isn't important, because everybody needs money to live.
For sure. I have two kids, so I'm sure at some point they're going to be like, we'd prefer you to sell out. And there's a lot of people out there that have families or other people to support and just want to take more vacations and do stuff. So I don't hold it against them.
No, I don't either. Like
Part of life.
Don't get me wrong. Like I'm totally not like, but I think I guess where I'm going with this is that I think if your intentions for doing something are pure, it's like, you got into design because, you obviously enjoyed painting and drawing perhaps when you were younger. And that's kind of what's led you down that path to do that thing. So it's kind of pure, that's you're doing it and you've been successful enough to get a job doing that for a living. And that's great. And that is, that you've made a success of it.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying though is that I think money isn't everything, and I think when you kind of get really old, like if I've got some music to show, because that's the thing. Like I was doing recording and things like that, and never really doing anything of my own. I kind of want to get when I get old, I kind of want to be able to say, well, I did a bit of recording, I had made some records, and I suppose it's just being able to show what you've done. It's kind of more important. I mean, not to say that money isn't important, because it is important, but
yeah. Well, you took your shot. That I think that's important. It's sometimes that first step is the hardest part. Is like diving in, and if it amounts to nothing, who cares? But if it amounts to something, that's great too. But taking that first step is a lot of people don't take that first step. A lot of people never pick up the guitar, even though they have dreams of being a rock star. A lot of people never record anything, even though they've been playing for years. And a lot of people never take that big first step. So,
well, that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, the other thing, I suppose kind of, the point I think I was trying to make was that a lot of reality TV shows, I'm sure you have them in the US as well. These kind of like sing a cover song or whatever, and the audience votes for you, and the TV viewers, and the types of people that you get going on these shows. It's like I'm not saying they don't love music, because I'm sure they do, but there's some people that go on these shows because they want to be famous and they want to be rich, and they'll do anything. It doesn't matter what the style is. It's like, I just want to be rich and famous. That's all I want to do. And I think I find that a little soulless. Whereas in doing graphic design and doing the sort of stuff that we're doing, I suppose, is we know never going to make it really any money from it.
Well, it's nice to be able to do both. I mean, if you're going to be in music and you can help people produce records or anything, and you can make money at it, great. And then you can do your stuff on the side. And it's the same. It's basically what I do. Is I'm a graphic designer that sells my soul 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And then after that, I get to do whatever I want. And I get to use that skill for evil and good. So in the end, it pays the bills, but I also don't completely lose my soul in the process.
And the cool thing is that you still want to do it when you finish work. That's the thing. Like, I think doing art as a kind of as a job, like it's retaining that love of it, I suppose, isn't it? It's like you say, when you're sort of having to work to a certain client's expectation, and it's kind of nowhere near what you had in mind. It's like, as you say, it can be a little soul destroying in a way.
But such is life.
Well, yeah, but again, I think it's cool what you're doing. Like I've watched you, these podcasts that you're doing, and I like what you're doing on Instagram, and that I think it's cool. And again, you've got something to offer.
Thank you.
That's it. I think that's the thing. It's like, if you've got something to offer, like people are up for it. I think that's the thing. Like, there's so
Well,
many.
there's no better feeling to me than sharing music with people that haven't heard it yet. Like I've been doing that for years, and a lot of people do. I share music with my friends, all sorts of music to different groups of friends. And now that I get to do that on just like a larger scale, it's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's it. And you're using, your skills. I mean, I think it's also a skill to be able to talk and relate to people and have a conversation.
Still
Like,
working on that one.
no, but that's it. That's a skill in itself as well, isn't it? So it's, not everyone could do that either. So,
Yeah.
um, but it, I think as well, like on social media and that, there's so much like content that really isn't content. It's kind of, reposting, or it's like, it's just there's a lot of rubbish on there, really. And I think to cut through that and find something that's genuinely funny, like some of the things that you do, and or like seeing an absolutely amazing photograph, it's like you do, like, I do find some really cool stuff, but like sometimes you have to sift through a lot of rubbish to find that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of absolute rubbish, I want to play a game that I call Real or Fuzzed. So what I'm
Okay.
going to do is I'm going to show you 10 album covers one at a time. And they're very strange album covers. Some are real, some I did. And you're going to guess if they're real or slightly fuzzed.
Okay.
All right.
I'll try.
Here's the first one.
I'm going to say that's real.
This one is real. John Kincaid. I don't know why it has two titles, Till I Kissed You and Pie in the Sky, and why he's so scary looking. But it is a real cover.
Wow. Yeah. Good one.
Satan is Real by the Lovin Brothers.
It's so bad it's kind of good as well. I'm gonna say it's real.
This one is real. It almost looks like the Satan from South Park, and they're like standing on the hot coals. It's a crazy cover. I don't know what this sounds like, but I think I might have to check it out. Finally Dead with the album Brains.
See, I think this is one of yours.
It is,
Slightly fuzzed. Yeah. I think this is one of yours.
All right, you're doing pretty good.
I love the typeface for the brains. That's cool.
Thanks. Shut Up and Dance. Dance Before the Police Come.
I think that's slightly fuzzed as well.
This is a real one.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really know what to say about that other than, well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it would be fake, but it's got a definite like 90s vibe to it. So that one's a real one.
Yeah.
Boned Up at the Crack, it's called.
I think it's one of yours as well, slightly fuzzed.
Everything in this points to one of mine, but it in fact is real.
It's real?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like something I would do for sure, but it happens to be real.
I love it. I've got to check that out, man.
I don't know what the band name is on this one, but the name of the album is Covered in the Semen of Satan.
Wow, yeah, I mean, it's black metal, don't you? With a cover like that. But yeah, I can't make out the logo either. I think that's the kind of thing with that style. It's like the logos are quite hard to decide. It's kind of artwork in itself, really. But, Covered in semen of Satan. I'm gonna say it's one of yours.
This one is.
Slightly fuzzed, yeah.
Yeah, this is slightly fuzzed. God's
Wow.
chosen puppet.
I'm gonna say it's real. If it's one of yours, I'm gonna be impressed. But I think,
I wish I could take credit. No, this is a real one.
yeah.
Kane Roberts.
I'm gonna say it's real, man.
Man, I thought I would get you on that one. That is a real one. There's flames coming out of the end of the guitar. Why would this be a real one?
So it's real.
This is real. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that this guy was even a guitarist for like Alice Cooper or something like that. I thought I read, but this album cover is absolutely bonkers, man. I thought I would get you on this one, if any of them.
There's a lot going on there, man.
So
a lot
much
of detail in it, man. It's kind of cool in a way, you know.
It is, yeah. Maybe a bit outdated, but it's cool.
Yeah, I'd say. I'm gonna say this is one of yours.
Yeah, this one is. Yeah, I've shared this one a few times, so you might have seen it. But acid reflux. Yeah,
that's cool, man. That's cool.
Thanks. All right, last one, Mrs. Mills. It's party time.
I'm gonna say that's real.
It is real. I think you did really good.
I think I got one wrong.
Yeah, I think that might be true. Again, this album, I don't know what that sounds like, but why it exists is beyond
I'm gonna
me.
check it out, man. I'm gonna try and find it on Spotify afterwards. That boned one.
Yeah. But you did pretty good. All right, are you ready to premiere the music video for Reborn?
Yes, please. Yeah. So this video was made by a good friend of mine called Chris, who goes under the name Square Eyes. So yeah, he made the video and basically hope you enjoy it, folks.
Hell yeah. All right, let's do it. All right, that was Reborn on the new EP, Doubt by This Summit Fever.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's the focus track for the EP. So yeah, thanks very much for showing that. Really appreciate
And Doubt comes out next week when this is dropped, so it'll be out on the 20th.
Yeah, the EP is out on the 20th of August, but we're going to drop the video. Well, you're going to play the video for the first time on the 13th, which is next Friday.
Yep.
Yeah,
it'll be today when we release
today.
this.
And then I'll we'll put it up the next day. But yeah, so it's not a single per se. It's just just a kind of focus track, I suppose. For the EP. So.
Well, the EP is great, man, and I appreciate you giving me a listen before we did this. And I think it's a great EP. There's 5 tracks on it. What was the first track? What was the opening track on that?
Hard to Be Invisible. Yeah,
that's my jam. I loved it. I love that.
Yeah, thanks, man. We had a lot of fun making it. It's I'd say I enjoy writing riffs and things. So I write a lot of riffs, and then occasionally one or I'll be like maybe I can use that. So I'm sure it's the same with what you do as well. It's like sometimes you have to sort of come up with lots of things, lots of colors and shapes and things, and then you kind of
I have a lot of unused drafts.
Yeah, but that's it. I think it's rare to start something and then go start it and then like, okay, it's done. It's like, I think
if that happens, either you're amazing or you're not looking closely enough at it.
Yeah, for sure. And with your graphic design and your artwork, and do you tend to take a break from it? So will you take like 24 hours, have a sleep, and then come back to it, or
on important stuff? Yeah, on stuff like for Slightly Fuzz, where I'm just goofing around. I'll go with my gut most of the time, and just we'll see how it goes. And sometimes like people won't really react to it like I expect them to, and I'll rework it and I'll post it again in 6 months or something. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, stuff for clients, stuff that there's paying customers. Yeah, I mean, it helps to sleep on it for sure. And it's super rare to do something and then that's the winner. It's usually the 3rd, 4th, 5th version of something where you go, oh, there we go. I'm glad I kept pushing it. I'm glad I kept looking at it. I'm glad I kept trying different colors and fonts. And it's pretty rare that it's your first try that you stick with.
Yeah, and this is definitely the same with music as well. I think the songs all kind of started in one place and ended up in a different place. And I think that's the thing. Like like you do lots of drafts, and the songs, it can take weeks. But sometimes getting the original idea, the original riff, I think I always try and capture that moment, at least the feel of that, because that's hard to. So you get a certain energy from playing it for the first few times. So capturing that vibe and that essence, I think is really important in my music anyway. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm glad we got to premiere Reborn on this podcast, and it was great talking to you. And I'm looking forward to the EP coming out 1 week from today.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we can't wait. And thanks very much for your support and having me on the show. And that's really nice of you to do that, man. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you. All right, I'll talk soon. Best of luck on the EP. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Ryan. Cheers, man.